Hey guys, it's Shelby coming at you with another anti-haul. This is going to be my holidays. See what I did there? Edition of my anti-haul. If you've never seen one of these before, I would be surprised because it's kind of like the hub of my channel. But an anti-haul is where I ask you guys what you'd like to see me basically anti-haul, rant about, tell you what's wrong, sometimes give alternatives to wasteful shit in the world or things that are bad for the planet that you want to see me talk about. So this is no different. I asked for what you wanted me to anti-haul over on my Instagram. So if you're not following me over there, you should definitely go do that. While I was reading through these responses, it's actually very interesting. If I included everything that you anti-hauled on my Instagram, we would just be anti-hauling the entire holiday season. I'm honestly known to be a bit of a Grinch myself. Like, Christmas is not my favorite holiday. The consumerism surrounding it, the wastefulness that comes with this time of year, it's not my forte. But you can't just completely anti-haul decorations altogether. So I picked out some of the most common ones that I saw that you submitted, and we're going to go through those. And I'll try to provide like some insight or some alternatives as we go through them. So we will hop right into it after I give a huge thank you to Squarespace for partnering with me on this video. If you're in the mood to start a website, an online shop, or even if you just need a domain, there's a link at the top of the description that can give you a little discount. Okay, let's jump into it. The most responses I got were for this thing and this thing only, and you seem to have a lot of disdain about it, and I'm looking forward to everyone's perspective on this one in the comments, but it is tinsel. Now, if you don't know what tinsel is, it's basically really, really cheap plastic that shines that you put on your Christmas tree. I'd love to know if you have ever personally put tinsel on a tree, because I have never done that like in our household. Well, to be clear, I have not had my own Christmas tree since I moved out of my parents' house, but I help them decorate their tree every year, and we've never put tinsel on our trees. But my aunt used to put tinsel on her live trees. She no longer puts them on her artificial tree, which makes me think that she was probably leaving that tinsel on the tree, not taking it off, and just throwing the tree away. Let me know in the comments though if that is something that you do, if you've ever reused your tinsel, or if you've used tinsel, etc. I think that maybe since Christmas trees already are shiny as hell with the lights and the ornaments, we can skip the little bitty teeny tiny plastics that make it a little bit more shiny. Is that just me? But obviously this is wasteful, and hopefully something that maybe people can move away from. I think it's phasing out now, or maybe just that's been my personal experience. Like I said, I'm looking forward to hearing what your experience is, but I would like to anti-haul tinsel because it's just plastic waste that you put on a tree and use for like a few weeks and then you throw it away. Not a fan. Then we have gag gifts or white elephant gifts. And again, I pose a question to you. When you play white elephant, how do you play it? Because my family did this thing where they set a spending limit. So everyone spent, I think, like $50 or $30 or whatever it was, brought a gift, and then we would like pull numbers, they would get their gift, similar to what white elephant is. But when we played white elephant, it wasn't a gag gift. People were spending to get gifts that other people would actually fight over during the white elephant. And that's my next question. If you've played white elephant in a serious manner where there's like a limit set, does everyone bring alcohol and lottery tickets and like that's all there is to play for? Because that's what happens at my house. But that was my perspective of what white elephant was. And then whenever I went to a white elephant with like my friends, I got this erotic sex novel, which apparently was a joke, to which I brought a real gift to the white elephant. So I was just so confused and didn't even know that the concept of white elephant is meant to be gag gifts. Did you know this? Tell me I'm not alone. I don't know. Think about this. Literally think about this. Let's think about the book I got, okay? This erotic sex novel, whatever the fuck. That book had to be made, okay? Paper, right? Paper grows from trees, and even if it is from a sustainable source, like the trees are replanted and regrown, etc., it still takes a lot of resources and time to grow a tree, just to cut it down and make a book, right? And then to give it to someone for literally probably 30 seconds to a minute of laughter, and then what? Maybe, hopefully, someone donates that book. And maybe, hopefully, in the thrift store, someone buys this erotic sex novel, which probably isn't going to happen because like 90% of things that are given to thrift stores end up in landfills. So basically what I'm saying here is this is a long drawn out path from creating a book to throwing it in a landfill. And same goes with many gag gifts and the joke gifts that are given as white elephants, etc. And I know that probably who I'm speaking to right now, you already know this, because the basis of my channel is to think about where something comes from and where it's going. And gag gifts are literally the epitome of wasteful. So please encourage your friends and family to think that way. I know these conversations are hard, but if it's important to you, it's very important to me. Have those conversations about literally they're just buying something to laugh at for a minute and then it will be in a landfill somewhere. Yeah, gag gifts, we're gonna anti-haul those, okay? One thing I was really happy to see on this anti-haul list that you sent in was that you have a disdain as well for spray snow. Maybe this is not so popular in the north where you guys actually get to see snow outside, but here in Texas, people will literally spray their completely natural, compostable Christmas trees with artificial snow, which makes them, you guessed it, not able to be composted. Not only does this happen with trees, but people do it with pine cones. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this. Basically taking a material that would have been a great alternative to plastic as decorations and turning it into essentially plastic. And I know that when I talk about stuff like this for people like my sister and my family who just freaking love Christmas, I'm ruining it for you, and for that I apologize. But there are other ways to make something that is festive and reusable. You could buy it secondhand. Like, there are so many alternatives to spraying something that is natural and completely biodegradable with something that then makes it not. And I encourage you to look for those alternatives instead of taking something that wouldn't have been on this planet forever and making it toxic with your artificial snow. So please, I beg you, don't do this. Did you know that every year nearly 16 billion, with a B, there's a B, $16 billion are spent on unwanted gifts? That's insane! 61% of Americans have said that they have received a gift that they didn't want, and this is totaling 5 billion pounds of waste going to landfills just because someone bought a gift for someone that they didn't want. So I see this a little bit separate from gag gifts and white elephant gifts, because these are gifts that your grandma buys because she feels like she has to get you something, or your distant aunt buys you because
you're at Christmas and you need something to open.
This is something that happens in my family all the time. Oh, sorry, I'm getting so flustered because I don't understand. My personal grievance with this is, aside from the environmental impact, which we know is what I care about, but I try to speak to people in a way that's like, you're spending money to give someone something that they don't want. And yes, you think that they think the thought is nice, but many of us don't. Many of us feel embarrassed that we have to pretend like we like something that we didn't want. Many of us feel bad that we have to then donate it in hopes that it gets resold at a thrift store. Many of us, myself included, feel bad that the item is going to end up in the landfill because of how little items are actually being resold at thrift stores. A little bit of my lecture Shelbi came out there. I haven't had to do that to my family in a while, so you just got it right there. The amount of gifts that are purchased without the person in mind, without being intentional, without being conscious, is insane and is wreaking havoc on this planet. I know I said that billions of pounds of unwanted gifts are going to end up in landfills, but before we talk about the amount of waste that can be easily measured, we have to also think about the impact on the planet of creating all of those gifts, because there is a much bigger waste there than you're seeing go to landfill. And that's not just including all of the water waste, all of the greenhouse gas emissions that were wasted in transporting all those items, in manufacturing all of those items, in extracting the materials, and manufacturing every single part of everything that we buy, electronics, kids' toys, clothing that people will never ever wear. It's a lot. I find it very hard to get excited about this time of year because all my brain thinks about is that. And I don't know how to get the message across to people more effectively. But it is very frustrating. And if there's anything in this anti-haul that means the most to me, that I am so passionate about, that I want to anti-haul so hard, it is that. And that's the reason that I try so hard every single freaking day of my life with this platform that I have been given, so lucky to have, is to tell people the message of eco-minimalism, buying as little as you can, because this story that we see so clearly during Christmas happens through just the individual person, right? So think back to maybe when you were a consumer and you bought something because you thought it would make you feel good or because you thought you wanted it. And how many of those items are now sitting on the planet somewhere for longer than you will be here because of your choices? I'm doing my best that I can here into my family, and I hope that you're doing the same. So together, can we please anti-haul gifts that no one wanted or asked for? One more section on gifts and then we will move on. So many of you also inserted this, which is gift sets. So those sets that are put together at the store, which in many times, in many ways, is what your friends and family are going to the store and grabbing you and giving you. So a lot of these things fall in the unwanted gift category as well. But I think there's another problem with gift sets in that it includes things that you may not want, even if you wanted some of the things in that set. Some of the things are likely that you will not want them, you will not use them, and then if you're like me, you're tasked with figuring out who those other items could go to so that they actually get used, right? So when you give someone a gift that they don't want, you're actually quite literally burdening them. If it's me, I'm gonna do my best to find someone to give that item to so that it actually gets used. But in many people's cases, these items are just going straight to the landfill because this person doesn't want them. Or worse, they'll sit around someone's house for years and clutter up their space and their mind because you decided they needed this gift set. I think there can be good gift sets that people want, of course, right? If you're buying them consciously, you know the person, you know what they would want. Like for instance, Hiram, Skincare by Hiram, came out with a beautiful collaboration with Kinship Skincare, which I have put on my wish list for Christmas. Also, let me tell you, for instance, just an example, my mom loves Giorgio perfume. I hate perfumes, I don't wear perfumes, but my mom loves it. So every year my dad would buy her this gift set because it was the same price as just buying the perfume, but it came with a lotion. But my mom never used that lotion, but just because it seemed like a better deal, he would buy it. It's situations like that that we should be looking at and rethinking, and overall being a conscious consumer. That's the key here. This is another one I'm really passionate about, and I think I kind of figured out why I'm so passionate about it this year actually, and it is people buying new decor every year. Many of you had the same frustrations as me. What happens every time I make statements like this, because of my lived experience, people will tell me,
my family reuses our Christmas ornaments every single year for the past 3 decades.
Yeah, I know that people who watch this channel feel that way, but I'm hoping that this reaches people who are not already thinking that way, and maybe you know someone who is replacing their Christmas decorations every single year, and maybe after I talk about it, it encourages you to go out there and talk to more people about this and stop doing it. But yes, you guessed it, I'm anti-hauling the mentality here, really, of buying new Christmas decorations every single year. And without throwing my mom under the bus, I know you guys get annoyed when I talk about her this time of year, but there's a lot of conflict, I guess you could say, between she and I, but I already told her this, so she already knows how I feel. Basically, when I was a kid, we had the same set of decorations that we would pull out every year. My mom had this string of chili pepper lights that would go over our fireplace, and I knew every year she was going to pull out those chili peppers. I also knew that every Halloween there was this, like, it was paper. It was literally paper, which is crazy because my mom reused it every single year. But it was this witch, like she had like movable appendages, like maybe picture like a classroom that would have like a skeleton that was paper and like its body could move like this, if that makes any sense what I'm saying. But basically when I was a kid, I looked forward to those things being pulled out every year, and that is what made the holiday season more fun for me. But as time has gone on with things like planned obsolescence, exploitation of labor, cheap practices that exploit the environment, etc., my mom has decided that every Christmas, every morning after Christmas, she wakes up at like 5 a.m. to go to Walmart and buy all of the things that are on clearance. And I've had people comment to me before, but isn't that a good thing because otherwise those things would get thrown away? Yes, it would be a good thing if you didn't have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go get them because there's so much competition. Those items are going to be sold. You have no duty to go and buy them. But the whole mentality here is buying something new every single year. What's happening to the old things you're buying? What's happening to the demand you're creating to tell people that people are going to be continuously repurchasing new decorations every single single year. To me, the beauty of the holiday season is quite the opposite. So I would like to anti-haul buying new Christmas decorations every year, and I'd love to hear in the comments what your experience with that has been. Speaking of clearance, this one is the one that only one person submitted, but I thought it was a really good one, and there's a little bit of a learning moment here, so let me talk about it. This is items that are specifically packaged for the holiday season. Oreos, I think, they typically come out with holiday edition of Oreos, or the problem with this is that if it doesn't get purchased, if it doesn't get bought on the regular shelf, then it moves on to the clearance shelf. And if it doesn't get bought off of the clearance shelf, I think you can guess where it goes. I used to dumpster dive, and you would think that it seems pretty a no-brainer for a company to just give their unsold things to a food bank or to people in need, or just to donate it. There are actually liability laws that remove the liability from brands donating food. You literally cannot be held liable for the quality or insurance of that food, but still it remains cheaper and easier to just walk out to the dumpster that you already pay for and throw those things into the dumpster than to pay someone to figure out what is actually needing to be thrown out in order to organize with another company to come pick it up, or for your employees to take it there, for your employees to sort it out, etc. It takes more resources and time and effort, essentially. In general, this is a huge thing you could do, is start speaking to the manager at your local supermarkets and ask them to donate the foods that are going bad, that are out of season, you know, that are close to their expiration dates, basically the things that right now they're sending to landfill, and ask them to start a program to start donations. I've been in talks before with grocery stores in Austin when I still lived there to try to help them figure out their systems, because H-E-B was throwing away a lot of food. Again, these are the things that take a long time to actually manifest, but we can have a much bigger impact if we're using our voices to do things like that. So I thought I would just go ahead and anti-haul seasonally packaged anything. This was a very fun video to film. I definitely got quite emotional back there, which I kind of apologize for, but also kind of not. But thank you so much to Squarespace for partnering with me on this video. Let's talk a little bit more about them. Like I said, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform, so you can look to them to build an online store, website, or even just if you need to purchase a domain. Squarespace makes setting up a website super easy because you don't need to learn coding. They already have some beautiful templates over there that you can customize to be exactly what you're looking for. Squarespace makes it easy to connect your social media and to also take advantage of their blogging tools. You can do email campaigns through Squarespace because it is an all-in-one platform, like I mentioned. With their 24-hour customer service and traffic insight tools, it makes it the easiest way to build a website on the internet today. So when you're ready to launch, head over to squarespace.com/Shelbizleee for 10% off of your first purchase.